Good evening. I'm Sister Catherine Ryan from Maryville Academy. Our guest this evening is Amy Kendal. Amy is the director of the Maryville Crisis Nursery. We are watching Maryville Cares. This is a live, interactive show on CAN TV 21. We are also streaming online on cantv.org/hotline. The next 25 minutes is a chance for you and me to learn from Amy about the importance of early childhood education and development and the resource that the Crisis Nursery may be to you or to members of your family. If you have any questions, you can call the number that's at the bottom of the screen. That's 312-738-1060. Or, of course, if you have a comment. We will not be giving any legal advice or medical advice this evening. I have to give that disclaimer. And having said that now, Amy, welcome.
Well, thank you, Sister.
Amy, first I want to introduce you to our audience, to parents and grandparents, uncles, aunts, those who are caring for children. How long have you been working at Maryville Academy?
Well, I have had the privilege of working at Maryville for almost 32 years now in a number of capacities where our goal is always to keep children safe, and that has been our intention to help families in the city, in the Chicagoland area, to help children thrive and families thrive.
And you have your degrees in what?
Child development
From?
from the Erickson Institute, and it has allowed wonderful opportunities for me to share information and expertise on making sure that we're allowing opportunities for children to thrive and grow both in their home, in their school, and our community.
And now this evening, Amy, you've worked with all different ages of children, of course.
Yes.
But this evening we're focusing on early childhood development. What do we mean by that term?
Well, early childhood development is a very broad term, and what we mean by that is that we know that the first 5 years of life, and I would even extend that to the first 8 years of life, but particularly for the first 5 years of life, that really lays the foundation of what is going to happen for children and how they view and how they feel about the world, how people are interacting with them. And so when we think about those first 5 years from the moment that a child is conceived and we're holding them and feeding them and nurturing them, that breeds an opportunity to now layer on another opportunity for children to look at you and to feel that love. And really, science is now showing us that in the first 3 years of life, 80% of our brain is growing. It's where our brain growth is. And that's a really critical time for parents and caregivers and our community to recognize that when we think about children when they're 12, 13, 14, and how they're relating to the world and the things that you're doing, we really want to think about what we're doing even in those first those first 3 years of life, and how the stability of getting support from a nurturing caregiver and being fed and being read to and all the wonderful things that our foundation for understanding the world, that it is a safe place, and that when a baby needs something or when a toddler needs something, there's somebody there who's going to respond to them. And so when you think about early childhood, it really encompasses their emotional growth, their spiritual growth, their cognitive way of understanding the world, and being able to encompass all of those areas of development and think about who will be there to support them during that time.
So that's a really important set of points that you've made to us, Amy. You're emphasizing those first years. Now, we have trained teachers working with children when they get to kindergarten and going up through the different grades into high school and college. But in those earliest years, our children are usually with their parents and their family members who are helping them during that time that, what did you say, 80% of the brain is developing?
In the first 3 years of life.
That's outstanding. But that's also challenging for us to make sure that this dear child who's totally dependent on the family is receiving the kind of supports and stimulation and learning that that child needs to get ready for those later years.
Well, and I think sometimes as adults, when we have little people around, we don't always consider the fact that they are watching everything that we do. They're hearing everything that we do, and not necessarily being in the same room. You know, our children can feel everything that is going on in a space, whether they're feeling tension in a space or they're feeling good music. If they're feeling that someone is there to respond to them when they're crying. And we really can't underestimate the value of how that really begins the foundation for that relationship, that they know that they are going to be responded to in a safe, predictable manner. And that really isn't easy when you're raising children, and you know, most parents are working variety of different hours, lots of hours. They're tired, and so trying to put a balance to all of this and be responsive to children, because really, you know, they need a lot, but it's very simple. It's just that it takes a lot of energy and work to be able to respond to a child who needs a diaper change and being able to be held, and that can be a challenge when you're having to deal with other responsibilities like the laundry and the phone is ringing, or you need to pay bills, or you're trying to figure out your schedule. And so being sensitive to the parents and what they need is really critical to, if they're at their best, then it really does do well for their children.
So, Amy, I think I forgot your most important credential. You're a mom.
I am a mom of 3 children.
So there's another important learning, for maybe the most important of all what you're going to share here. Let's talk about this in this way. Let's talk about the Crisis Nursery and what that resource is and when families might call on it. And then let's talk about some other support programs for parents.
Okay.
So let's begin. What is the Crisis Nursery?
Well, the Maryville Crisis Nursery is a program that is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, where any family in Cook and Lake County can call the Crisis Nursery at 773-205-3637, and a family advocate will talk to them about what their current situation is, and we will provide crisis childcare for them, a minimum of 4 hours up to even 3 days, depending on what a family might be challenged with. And the interesting thing about the Crisis Nursery is that although we're called a Crisis Nursery, and we really are there to keep children safe on a 24-hour basis, meaning even just the other day we had a call of a mother who was in a very unsafe situation and called the nursery at 4 a.m. and we were able to bring that child in an hour later, to an example of a parent is going on a job interview or has a very important health appointment. What we recognize is that it really does take a village, and so the Crisis Nursery is part of the puzzle of helping families realize that you need a lot of different resources when you are managing the number of responsibilities that a parent has, and that there is a really important aspect of asking for help, particularly when you have young children. As I mentioned earlier, they're really responding to what's happening with us as adults. And so if they are in a safe, wonderful environment like the Crisis Nursery, where we provide several different playrooms for the children, we also have parents can call and check up on their children. We have separate bedroom areas for the children. We have a library. We really recognize that the environment that a child in really needs to be exploratory for children. And so we recognize that pretend play is so critical. Although we are very blessed with lots of wonderful different toys, any parent can take boxes and Tupperware containers and plastic spoons and do some wonderful things with children to get them to use their imaginations and build things. And so those are opportunities that, while a parent is dealing with a job issue or a medical issue, they can have their children stay with us up to 30 times in a year. And that's a great opportunity, not just for the children to stay at the nursery, but because of our 24-hour helpline, we are also able to give resources in the Chicagoland area. So our family worker team really works hard on hearing the new things that are coming up in the city and knowing different resources in different parts of the city, so that way as you are providing a variety of opportunities for your children, whether it's for childcare, whether it's health related, you need a pediatrician. If you're looking for free resources on the weekends, we really want to be able to provide those resources for families and to other providers in the community, where we're really focusing on families who have children 6 and under specifically, because they really are our most vulnerable. And families these days are not necessarily working those typical working hours. Many of our families that access the crisis nursery are working weekends, they're working non-traditional hours, and childcare has become a national crisis for families who are working those different hours. And we're really sensitive to that because we want people staying working. We want people to be healthy. And so if we know that their children are being cared for and they're able to follow up on those important goals that they've established for themselves, then it just provides an opportunity for the family to be less stressed and move forward in a healthy way.
So you're saying that the children who can come to the crisis nursery are ages?
Their ages birth to 6, and the only requirement that we ask families to do is that if a child is on medication, that the medication is brought, but we are blessed by many different donations through our community for diapers and wipes and formula and clothing. So many of our families, we are located on the northwest side of the city at 6650 West Irving Park Road. And our phone number again is 773-205-3637. So if a family does call that helpline, a family advocate will walk through those procedure with them and schedule a time for them. We encourage families to come take a tour of the crisis nursery if they have questions about it ahead of time. We love families seeing the nursery because the kids just love it. We have a gym. We have opportunities for kids to thrive as being little children. Part of how children learn is through play. So all of our play opportunities are welcomed, and we want families to know that they can call and check up on their children, and then we make those arrangements of when they're going to drop off and when they're going to pick up, so that way we can help as many families as we can in the city of Chicago. So the idea here is keeping families together, keeping kids safe, and being able to provide a opportunity to learn about other resources in the city.
And so a child comes, are some of the children afraid to have their parents leave them there?
They are, but I have to be honest with you, our environment is quite welcoming through the variety of different supporters of ours with our murals, and our childcare staff are top-notch, and being able to recognize some of those things that you're referring to and working with the parent on some of those separation issues that might come up and helping children transition to the nursery. Because children spend the night with us at times, we're extremely sensitive to that issue, and our childcare staff do a great job. They are licensed. We are an accredited program. They check up on the children every 15 minutes. And what's neat is that we have special toys for the children that light up, and they help keep them feel safe. We read to the children right before bedtime and before nap time, and so our schedule for the day really permits for a continuity of care. So when children come back, and many children do come back and they are excited to come back, our childcare staff really work hard on recognizing the things that the children like, the type of toys. Children at a young age, depending on the type of food that they're exposed to, a lot of kids are picky eaters, and we want to be sensitive to that. We have a cook that is able to recognize some of those things and make adjustments, so that way we can allow the children to feel safe and comfortable and well taken care of.
And so I just want to emphasize, you mentioned when the children are sleeping, the staff are checking on them every 15 minutes, and then when they're awake, staff are with them all the time.
Yeah, 20, yeah, our ratio for staff to children is 4-to-1, in addition to the fact that we do have volunteers who support the childcare staff. They go through the same background check and physical and requirements. They don't replace our staff, but we also know that our little ones need lots of attention, particularly our babies. We love to hold the babies and we love to hold our toddlers, and when they're away from their parents, they even need more. And so by engaging them with individual attention, that really offers a great opportunity for us to learn more about them and also give that feedback to parents, because sometimes maybe there's certain things that they weren't aware of, that the way children responded at the crisis nursery might be a little different at home and vice versa. So we're really creating a partnership with parents, so we want to walk alongside with them as we see children grow. In fact, we had a mom call today that I remember when the little one was just 2 months old and now she's 4.5. And so they keep in touch with us and let us know how things are going. And it's not just about the childcare piece, but also making sure that the family has what they need so they have, a safe place for their children at home.
So after we take this pause, let's talk about some of the family support in addition to what you're doing for the child. But I just want to remind all of our viewers that you are watching Maryville Cares on CAN TV 21 and on cantv.org/hotline. And this evening we're talking with Amy Kendal about the importance of early childhood development and the resource of the Crisis Nursery for families. So Amy, you've talked about a hotline for families at the Crisis Nursery 24/7. You've talked about the Crisis Nursery that cares for the children for up to 72 hours when families need that. What about the parents who come because they're facing some kind of crisis? How do you help them?
Well, I think what's critical is that when you think about somebody in crisis or just things are unstable and uncertain, I think that's challenging when somebody loses a job or something happens in their housing and they're really concerned about their child's well-being and what their next steps are. So a lot of what we're doing in those type of situations is doing a lot of problem solving and thinking things through and really looking at different options. Not only is that a critical piece, but then the second piece of that is being a parent is hard. There's a lot of unexpected things that come up, and so responding to those unexpected moments with your children when maybe they're not feeling well or they haven't slept very well. One of the things that we've encouraged families to participate in is parenting classes that we have that I just think are terrific, that we've really embraced the idea of parent cafes, where it really is a support to families to share different ideas and thoughts and their trials and tribulations and joys of being a parent. And we are holding them at a different site at the Tolton Center, which you'll see here is the Augustus Tolton Peace Center at 5645 West Corcoran Place. They are on Tuesdays, once a month from 5:30 to 7:30. What's terrific about this particular cafe is that when parents come, they have a family-style meal all together that's provided for the family. We provide childcare by staff members and our volunteers. So when the parent goes to the parent cafe to speak to the other parents, that information's held in a supportive, adult-like environment where our staff really make it fun and inviting, and we have gotten an enormous amount of feedback from the parents who've joined repeatedly to that particular experience, that recognizing that you're not in this alone, and that you can get ideas and feedback, and recognize that, as a parent you're learning, but your children are also learning from you. So how you do that dance of being able to negotiate what your needs are and what your children's needs are, it's really good to get feedback and hear from other parents. So that's an opportunity for parents to come to the Tolton Center once a month, in addition to the fact that we also provide our 24-hour helpline and other resources at the nursery. I think what's really valuable for anybody who lives in the Chicagoland area is that there really are a lot of free, wonderful resources for young children. Not too long ago, I visited to the Garfield Park Conservatory. It's one of my favorite places. And they really have a whole area there designed for young children because you want them playing in the dirt. You want them recognizing what plants are. And nature is a very a way to de-stress, not just for the children, but for the parent. In addition to the fact our Chicago Public Libraries have reading times, our Chicago Public Libraries are now open on Sundays. And so that's showing a lot of value to families having resources to computers, to reading time, and all types of different information. Information is very powerful for parents. And so those ways that you can find out how you can expand your time and energy with the parent, with your children, is really quite valuable. And when you look at the city and all its resources in terms of transportation and getting to different museums that provide free passes at the libraries, there really is just a wide variety of different opportunities where you can get some free resources, particularly for children who or parents who have more than one child. It can be very expensive, not just with feeding them and clothing, but also providing these unique little experiences that are invaluable. And you know, children, as they get a little bit older, remember these different opportunities, and more importantly, they remember how that felt and what that smelled like, and you can use that as a story, and those experiences become memories for children. And what you want to be able to do is have positive memories that you can talk about as a family, because as children get older, we want to be able to impress upon them, and then they're gonna offer those things when they have children.
And so you've been talking about, I'm going to show one more time the Augustus Tolton Peace Center dates that this program, the Parent Cafes, are available. The phone number, Amy, if parents want to call about it.
The phone number is 773-205-3637, and you could ask for a family advocate worker, and they are there to answer any questions about these classes or regarding any questions that you have about the Crisis Nursery. You know, the other thing I want to say, sisters, since you have the address there, is that the Augustus Tolton Peace Center is not just there for parenting classes, but we partner with Catholic Charities that offers a wide variety of different resources for families in regards to financial literacy. There are computers there for families to use to look for jobs. They also have counseling there. So I just want to make sure that people recognize that that address on the west side is really hosts a number of resources for families, and they are welcome to come and visit anywhere between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. And we can direct families to different resources, whether that's at that site or within the Maryville programs or within Catholic Charities. And so we really do welcome you to give that number a call, and we can give you more information about different resources, in the city and for young children.
So, Amy, you've been talking about the importance of early childhood. You've talked about 4 different kinds of services, I think, at the Crisis Nursery. The 24/7 hotline for parents, the safe haven, the Crisis Nursery for the children to stay at for up to 72 hours. You've talked about the parent support with whatever that difficulty is they were having. And then you also talked about this parent education. So now with all of this, what do parents say to you is what they need that's most helpful out of all of these?
You know, I would say that they need it all. However, probably the most useful resource that families are struggling with these days is childcare. There are areas in which there are little resources in terms of the non-traditional hours for daycare, and with grandparents working longer hours and perhaps not being in the area, using or having family as a resource has lessened. And so what we're finding is that having that crisis childcare has really become a very important resource for families. And so if anybody has any questions about that, our number is 773-205-3637.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you to our viewers for watching this evening's show. I'm Sister Catherine Ryan from Maryville Academy. Our guest has been Amy Kendal from the Maryville Crisis Nursery. And if you need more information, you can reach us at the number that Amy's just given us. Have a good evening.